Hello, and welcome back to a new episode of Unfold with me, your host, Larissa. And I already have to say, my heart is beating. I feel actually nervous to sit in front of the camera because it's the very, very first time that I am recording an episode in the studio, but I'm just alone, so no guest where I can ask any questions. And I also think I'm a bit nervous because I have the expectation on myself that it has to be perfect, that my very first solo episode on video has to be on Jay Shetty level, Mel Robbins level. And yeah, I just wanted to be real, raw, and just honest. I was talking in my last solo episode, which I'm going to link down below in the show notes, about the perfect life and the struggles behind all of that. So I was really talking about my past weeks, how my life from outside looked good, but the way I felt inside was a real struggle. I felt overwhelmed. I felt a big pressure on my chest, and yeah, that's what I shared in my last episode. And then I decided to follow my heart, to make the step, and to go to the silent retreat. And I already promised in this episode that I'm going to talk about my experience. So here I am, sitting today in this studio and talking with you about my time in the silent retreat, about how I felt during the retreat, and also about how I'm feeling now, because I thought I'm going to be so zen, so calm, but honestly, as soon as I got back the next day, I felt this stress again. And I was like, no, what are you doing here, stress? I don't want to be here. And then with that, I started to realize more. I started to process more. And I was like, actually, I can't have the expectation that my life here, surrounded by society, is gonna look the same as my life in a silent retreat where I'm just surrounded by nature. And it's not about just being in silence. It's about, what do you learn in this time, and how can you take what you learned into the life where you are today? So let's talk about this. And I also want to do something. I heard from people who listened to my last solo episode that while I was talking, I was honestly forgetting to breathe myself. So wherever you are, because it also is going to help me, wherever you are, no matter if you're in a lunch break, if you're in the car, if you are sitting in a coffee shop, no matter where you are, just take a break. And I'm going to do it with you. So close your eyes, or when you're driving, don't close your eyes. And just take a deep breath in. Try to take it into your belly, because this will calm your nervous system even more. Because when we're stressed, we're breathing so much into our chest, which makes us even more stressed. So inhale through your belly, or maybe exhale out first. Okay, exhale out. And then inhale through your belly. And exhale out through your mouth. Inhale through the nose into your belly. And let it go. Exhale out. You can repeat that as many times as you wish. And just do it whenever you feel like you need this breath and you need to come back to center yourself. Okay, so the silent retreat. What made me decide to go to the silent retreat? I really wanted to come back to myself. I felt overwhelmed, I felt stressed, and I felt anxious through all these projects I had. I wasn't even able to embrace the process. I launched my first YouTube video. I rebranded my podcast. I had the 1-year anniversary, and it still didn't feel enough. I was rushing from place to place, trying to make everything perfect, but realizing that I was losing myself. I was trying so much to connect with myself that I actually forgot to enjoy the moment while I was trying to connect with myself. And an inner voice told me that you can't live like this for another week or another 2 weeks or another month, because my time in Bali is slowly coming to an end. It's really heartbreaking for me to say that. Even though I know that this place will be here, no matter where I go, I can always come back, and I will come back. But I really ask myself, how should the rest of my time in Bali gonna look like? And one voice that was my mind told me that keep going, you can do this. Just push even harder, push even more beyond your boundaries, and you can do it. But my inner voice told me that you don't have to push so hard that you don't even enjoy the moment anymore, that you don't even enjoy the beach anymore. I wasn't at the beach since 4 weeks, and I live in Bali. And I wasn't at the beach. And you know why? Because I didn't allow myself to go to the beach. Because I was like, how is a chilled time at the beach gonna help me to achieve my goals with the podcast or with the rebranding or with any other projects? And with that, I forgot that life isn't a marathon. Is that the word? Yeah, it's not about running or rushing through life. And I know that, but I forgot it. I forgot it myself. And you know, that's the funny thing. I am talking about these topics in my podcast because I truly believe in them. But this is the living truth, that even if a person is talking about the things, it's so easy because we are human beings. It's so easy that we get distracted by external things or by our own expectations or from words from our community. It's so easy to lose this connection. And what I did was blaming myself for that. I pushed myself down for that. I was like, I'm not even able to enjoy it anymore. I started to feel more angry towards myself because I was like, I have all of this. I am living the life I dreamed of. I am at this place sitting in a studio launching my first YouTube video. But why do I still feel stressed? Why do I wake up every morning with this pressure on my chest? And I wanted it to go away. And the more I wanted that, the harder this pressure was. So then, to come to the point, I booked the silent retreat. If you want to know how the whole process looked like, then listen to my latest solo episode, the one I linked down below. But to make the jump now to the moment when I arrived, I'm going to tell you what happened. First, I wanted to drive there myself on the bike, but it started to rain. So I was like, I'm not going to do that, to drive 3 hours with my backpack. I ordered a driver, and as soon as I left the place where I'm staying right now, as soon as we were out of the location, I started to breathe and I started to feel lighter. And honestly, I don't think that it has a lot to do with the location itself. I think it has something to do with the stressful version of me, Larissa, I left behind. And with the thought that I can go back to the retreat where I've already been before and where I can just be, where I can allow myself to not be anyone. Because who are we even? Who are we? Yes, I am Larissa, but who am I behind my name? Who am I behind what I'm representing? And I think this was also the part that scared me a bit because I didn't know what to expect when I will go back into this silence, even though I did it before. But this deep voice inside me told me that it's gonna be fine. And no matter how your way is gonna look like during this time, you will be fine. And honestly, my mind came across so many times and I was like, what is if this is gonna happen? What if I'm gonna feel this or that way? So please don't think that I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fine and I wasn't struggling. No, I had my fears, I had my doubts, I had my insecurities. But as soon as I arrived, the first thing that the girl at the reception said, the woman at the reception, she was like, hello, Larissa. Welcome home. And I already said in this solo episode that as soon as I booked the place, as soon as I saw confirmed, it's so weird to tear up in front of the camera, but I just want to allow myself to feel what I have to feel. So as soon as I booked the place, I had this feeling of I can come home, and not home in the silent retreat. It was like I can come home back to myself. And the reason why it makes me so emotional is because I started to create a home where I'm looking forward to come back. And this feels so good. As soon as you start to realize that, and don't get me wrong, it took a lot of work, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of facing my fears, also a lot of running away from my fears. It took so much time and energy and so much emotions to come to this point where I am today and where I actually looked forward to face my inner world again. But as soon as you start to realize that, you slowly understand what loving yourself means. That's just such a connecting moment I had in my journey with myself. Because we hear it so many times. Love yourself first. Self-love. And it's good that we talk about these things. It's so, so good that we as humans actually think about this and that we start to make the step. But I often think that we use words as labels to follow a specific rule or to know what exactly to do. But loving yourself comes from such a deeper place than just putting a label on it. I love myself. This is also why in the affirmation episodes I say that don't expect that only because you tell yourself, oh, now I love myself, now I am good enough. Don't expect that this is going to change your whole life. Yes, this is one of the first steps you can do to create the change for yourself. But to really come back to yourself, to really figure out who you are, to really reconnect with yourself, you have to face your fears. You have to face where your wounds are coming from. You have to face, and I don't even like the word have to, but I can't see another way out of this. Because how should you start to fall in love with yourself? How should you figure out who you truly are if you're not ready to face your past? If you're not ready to face your fears? If you're not ready to face your wounds? How do you expect to fall in love with yourself then? And I know it's scary, so, so scary to do this step. When I was in the retreat, I was crying every single day. I was there for 4 full days, and yes, you're in silence. Sometimes I get annoyed by myself. I'm like, why am I crying again? What am I even crying about? I was crying about so many things. And then I wrote a note to one of the teachers and I thanked her for her practice in the morning. And I told her, or I wrote down that I'm trying to follow my heart. I'm trying to follow my soul. But sometimes it's so hard. And in this moment, when I gave her this little note, something in me started to crack open. My tears came out and she just looked at me and she was like, she wrote me this note and she said, it's okay. It's okay. And then she whispered and she said, let it out. Let it out. And this is what I want to tell you as well. I know that we think keeping everything together keeps us strong and this is the only way how we can keep going in life. No matter where you are and no matter what you feel, it's okay what you feel. And I'm not only telling this to you, while I'm saying this, I'm also telling it myself to remember myself. Larissa, it's okay what you feel. You don't even have to explain it. You know, the feelings we feel, they often doesn't make sense. And this is our mind that tries to calm and tries to make sense out of it. And if it's not logical, then, oh, how can you even feel that? But that's the point. Our intuition, our heart, our soul, or whatever you want to call it, they speak another language. And yes, this can sound strange as well. Like, what kind of language does my body want to speak? But Sometimes we don't understand, and that's okay. And I think that's actually the scary part, because when we don't understand it, we're facing uncertainty. And who wants to face uncertainty? Because we don't know what's going to be behind of that. But maybe that's it. Maybe that's one part of life. To really trust in life, and to trust in yourself, and to trust in your inner guidance, that something within you knows the direction. Life, God, or in whatever you believe in, something higher knows the direction. And it's easy, it's easy to trust in life and to trust in yourself when you're going through beautiful times where you feel light and where you feel happy and where you smile. It's easy to trust then. It's easy to say, yeah, my life is good. But where the real strength and the real power comes from is, how much do you trust when life doesn't go the way you want? How much do you trust in yourself, in life, and in the process when you're waking up in the morning and when you feel anxious? When you don't know what's going to come? How much do you then trust in life? And that's what I learned during the retreats. I learned to trust. I learned to trust that same as the emotion was coming, the emotion will fade away. I learned to trust that even if I'm crying now and I can't stop, it's gonna be okay afterwards. Even if today is maybe not your day, it's gonna be okay tomorrow, no matter what will come. And this doesn't mean that tomorrow is gonna be the best day, or it's about trusting and coming back to, one, putting the work in, two, to give our best, whatever your best looks like for you, and three, to trust in life. So after the silent retreat, I was driving back to the same location here in Bali. And on the first day when I arrived, I was like, oh, okay, I feel so calm and relaxed. And then the second day came. And I was like, yeah, I just get in slowly. I don't want to rush things. I don't want to live the same way as I lived before the 4 days. Yeah, Larissa, good job. No, I don't even want to judge, because I gave my best, but it's just funny to see how I remember the morning then I woke up back in my apartment. I was going to the breakfast spot where I always go. I was eating breakfast and I wasn't using my phone, and it was so good. And then I started to write down my goals of the day. And I can't even tell you what happened. But wow, that rush got back to me so fast. And it was really just the second day. And I was back in this anxious feeling. It's not even funny, but what should I do? So yeah, I was back in this feeling. In the end of the day, I felt stressed. I talked to my friend. I was like, I feel so stressed. And he was like, yeah, but what happened? And then I told him, like, I was like, yeah, these things didn't work out the way I wanted, and these things. And honestly, I couldn't help myself. I just started to laugh. I was like, wow. It lasted for 1 day. That is my reminder. And this is the reminder I give to you. In these times where you learned something, where you were happy, calm, and whatever, and then it switches into a time where you feel more stressed, overwhelmed, restless, even anxious, that's life that wants to test you. I'm sure that life wanted to see, okay, Larissa, you've been in the silent retreat. You've learned to calm yourself down, to accept your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings. Okay, good job. And now let's see how you're gonna do it in an environment where it's busy, loud, where things doesn't work out the way you want, where it's not so calm and peaceful with a lot of nature around you. Now show me your skills. Show me what you learned. Show me how serious you take it to come back to your inner center and to stay present. So when life brings you a challenge, we often think that life is against us. Even yesterday, I talked to the sky, to life, to the universe, and I'm like, what the fuck, universe? What are you trying to tell me? I'm giving my best. I'm waking up in the morning. I do all these things. I work out. I go to yoga. I do this. I do that. And I'm sure you have these moments as well, where you give your best and you still feel it's not enough. And then life brings you something else and you're like, what the fuck, life? Is it not already enough? But the point of this is that life doesn't give you these challenges if life, universe, or something higher doesn't think that you are ready for this challenge. And I talked to a friend of mine and I made an example. How does a professional football player or soccer player wants to be professional? How do they become professional? How do they become as good as they are? It's not about standing beside the field and just watching the game. They become professional because they play the game, because they put themselves out there, because they fall, because they have to learn how to recover and they have to learn how to go through the pain when they, for example, injure themselves, and then how to get back on track. This is how the professional football player become professional. It's not about just being in the safe spot and never injure yourself, never go through times where you cry, where you face the pain, where the pain is here and you're just facing the pain. You build strength and you build and find your power when you go through the pain. And this sucks. This sucks. At least for me. Sometimes I'm like, why do I have to go through the pain? Is it not enough? Is it not enough? Why can I not learn the lesson in a nice situation where it's easy and fun? But life is like, no, 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 no. Face this fear, face this situation. And honestly, even if it's sometimes so hard, I'm still grateful. And first I thought, am I crazy? I am still grateful that life gives me the opportunity to grow. And maybe also a question to you. Would you really want to change your life? And would you really want to take away the pain you were going through? Just that you don't have to experience the pain. I wouldn't want to take anything away from my life. Because everything that happened for a reason, and everything, all the downs and all the ups, made me to the person I am today. I wouldn't be able to talk to you about these topics, about my feelings if I didn't face them? What kind of lessons should I share with myself or with others if I'm only smiling all the time, if I never fall, if I'm walking all the time, if I never fall on the floor, if I never hit the floor? What kind of story do you want to tell other people, or of what kind of story do you want to look back to if you never had the lows? And one good quote my friend shared with me was, "For being able to see the stars, it has to be dark for that. You can't see light if you don't face darkness. How do you want to see the stars if it's only bright? We need darkness to come back to our inner light." So instead of being angry at us, being angry at life, and wasting our time and our energy in this emotion where we're trying to figure out, why is life doing that with us? Yes, of course, let it flow. Allow yourself to feel what you have to feel. But then bring back the focus to your inner center. Come back to your inner light, to the opportunity that life gives you, that you can create an even brighter light within yourself, a light that you can bring out into the world and share with people who need it, because the people need your light. And with that, I think I've said everything I wanted for today. Thank you so much for listening, if you made it until the end. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for sharing with me this journey. It means so much to me, and don't forget to share this episode with any person you have in mind that is maybe going through a hard time, doesn't see the light in the end of the tunnel. Share it with a person who maybe feels overwhelmed. Or maybe listen to it again if you need it. The episode will always be here for you. And I'm also working on a website where I can offer even more of my thoughts, of my projects. I'm working together with a close friend of mine on this website. She's amazing. So yeah, things are unfolding. Don't forget to share the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel wherever you are listening to it. And don't forget to rate the podcast. It would help me so much that the podcast can grow, that it's going to be easier for other people to find it in the search bar. And feel free to leave a comment about your thoughts or anything you want to share down below. Thank you for listening. Have a great day or have a good night, and I'll see you on the next Wednesday. Bye.